Did you ever wonder if there was one magical hopping foot that would make your quilting easier and fun? Well, wonder no more with Grace's 360 Wonderfoot. Hi, I'm Angelique, and today I'm going to show you how to use this versatile hopping foot to do all kinds of quilting. And I'm going to give you some of my own personal tips and tricks for how best to use the 360 Wonderfoot. So let's get started. The 360 Wonderfoot allows you to do all kinds of quilting that would usually require different feet, but you get to do it all with one foot. Let me show you some of what you can do with it. You can do stitch in the ditch, you can easily do offset stitching, echoing, tracing, and so much more. So tell me in the comments, what about these kinds of quilting are difficult for you to use? One of the great things about this is that you can use it with or without a ruler. So if you're steady, you can get accurate lines just by following the guides that are on the lenses, or use that handy ruler if you're not as steady like me. All right, let's see what's inside the box. Very nice box that you can keep for storage, but the first thing that you're going to see are these training sheets. There's one for each of the different types of lenses, so you can get really comfortable with how best to use these. You also have your instructions for installation, and it comes with all this that you see here. All right, so let's take a look at the foot itself. It's very large. It's one of the things I love about it. It's got this huge visible area, which is just different than your other hopping feet. And now let's take a look at each of the lenses that comes with it. The first one that I have already in here, this is the echoing one. It's a 1/4 inch circle that allows you to line up with your previous lines, or it's also great for tracing. We have two different offsets for 1/4 inch and 3/8 of an inch. That way you can outline different blocks depending on the size that you want. We have what is probably my favorite, the stitch in the ditch lens. And then last, when you want no obstruction in your view at all, we have the clear lens. Let me show you how easy it is to change lenses. All you need to do is pop this little thing here. The whole lens will come out, and then you will put in your next lens. When I'm ready to install the next one, I just want you to note here that there is this little lip. The lens is going to tuck underneath that lip there on the right side when it's facing you. So you can see it's tucked underneath that lip, and then you simply just press the other side down and your new lens is installed. Installing on your machine is as easy as installing any hopping foot. Just remove your current one. Make sure your needle is all the way up. Place your new hopping foot on. Start your screw, but don't tighten it all the way. Lower your needle all the way down. And then place your hopping foot height gauge underneath the wheel so that it sits evenly. And rest nice and firmly against that. It's time for my first tip. You want to make sure that your wheel is able to spin well. You don't want it so tight that it doesn't, because we actually do want that centerpiece to rotate as we move. Now that we have it installed, let's see what this foot can do. The one I've installed is our 1/4 inch offset, and so I'm going to show you how you can use this on squares. Let's take a look at the lines that are on here. So you have the black circle here. That is going to let you know the distance that you have from your needle to this, so that the spacing that you're going to get when you use this. On the outside of both of these, you're going to see the yellow and black lines. Now these tell you where to line things up. Looks just like a block, right? So you're going to place that, and we'll do this with the 1/4, over here. So you can see how I have it lined up in the corner of my block, right there. And then I'm going to drop my needle, pull up my thread, get right back into position, and then I'm ready to sew. Note what I'm doing as I'm sewing is I'm trying to keep this line here since I'm going horizontal across the quilt, so it's lined up with the ditch of my block. And then as I reach the other end here, as you can see, I'm just stopping so you can see where I'm putting that. Then I can move down, going vertically, and keep that lined up. And you see how it turns for me? So that now that I'm in this position here, same thing, I can go across. And I can go back up. And if I want to kind of continue to do this pattern, then I can line up to the next one, or if I just want to close it off, I can close it off. So I'm going to close this one off. And so I wanted to start a whole nother square. So I'm just going to line up with my previous row. And I'm going to continue to stitch. So it will stay as steady as you are for lining things up, so I get that 1/4 inch. You can change these right on here, so you don't have to keep taking the foot off. All right, and now I'm just going to show you the difference in size. So I'm going to line up where I was before. This is the 3/8 one. I'm working on precise mode so that it will pause for me when I get to the previous one. I'm also leaning over this machine, so you can see I'm not as super steady, but that's, like I said, you can use it with a ruler so that you can get a straighter look to that. And so here you can see the difference in the width between the 1/4 inch and the 3/8. Let me show you some examples that I did before and some different patterns that you can do. So over here, I have the 1/4 inch, which I did as the blocks as I started on the example here. So I have nice tight stitching. This one here is the 3/8, and I did this so it just kind of keeps going inside like an infinity thing until I got to a point I didn't want to do that anymore. This one here, I did more like a picture frame, so I just did some side stitches after I did my 2 boxes so that I could create that look. And then I did another one with the 1/4 inch, so you can see the differences in the sizes and ways that you can kind of square that up. So that is your offsets. The 1/4 inch offset circle is great for tracing. You can also use it as an echo foot. So let's take a minute to look at the difference between the circle 1/4 offset and the 1/4 offset I just showed you. So the 1/4 offset, notice, had all those extra lines on it for lining up on like a square or rectangular block or even a block that's on point, whereas our offset 1/4 inch circle doesn't have that. So the only thing we're really lining up with is that yellow and black circle line. Let me give you a tip. Anytime that you are moving your machine or moving your fabric, it's a good idea to pull your top thread up so that it's resting inside of this to keep it from getting underneath and tangled in your wheel. You want to be able to move that and you don't want to have to deal with it. So we do have those mechanics that are a little different than other hopping foot. So I'm going to do some echoing with this one. I'm going to line this up with my previous row. I'm going to bring up my bobbin. Notice how I keep a hold of my bobbin and my top thread so that it's out of the way of the wheel. And then I'm going to drop, and I'm just going to follow this previous line. Oh, time for another tip. Do you see all this extra thread chunks that I have left on my quilt? I want to make sure that my quilt stays completely free of debris like this, because again, we don't want to run that over with the mechanics of the foot. We want to keep that stuff out of the way, so make sure you clean up your mess regularly. And I can just continue echoing around my previous line. And it's as simple as that. You can use it for going around lettering like I did here. You can also just free motion with this one, and then as you decide that you want to add other elements around that, then you can echo. So I'm going to do a quick cloud for you, and then I'm going to echo around that cloud. It's as easy as that. All right, so let's take a look at the stitch in the ditch foot. Looks a little different than the other ones. We have this crosshairs that's happening in the center so that you can line up perfectly your seams for that stitch in the ditch look. So I want to show you how to use the training panels that come with your 360 Wonderfoot. And what I've done is I have pinned the stitch in the ditch one to the top of my quilt here, and I'm just going to pop in my lens into my foot, and I'm going to place this right in the corner where my lines are lining up, and I'm just going to start tracing the lines. So you can see you can get pretty accurate as long as you are steady. And then one of the other tips that I have for you is don't be afraid to move it when it's on the machine. So I want to go at an angle that I wasn't at before. So I'm going to adjust this so that it's now lined up for me for the angle that I'm going to change directions. I'm going to do that again so I can come across. And this is what's just really going to help you without that ruler. Follow your line. All right, well, let me clean this up, and I'm going to get a quilt I've been working on and show you how great the Stitch in the Ditch lens really is. So I want to show you a panel I've been working on using the Stitch in the Ditch lens for the 360 Wonderfoot. This is going to be a bag someday. I haven't figured out what bag I'm going to make, but when I bought this fabric, I was like, I'm going to cheat and get a panel that looks like I've pieced the whole thing together. And so the best way to get that look is to do the Stitch in the Ditch work. So I am going to line this up where I was in the previous zone. So I have a lot of like tight turns and stuff that I'm doing with this one in terms of like the small spaces. So this is where the great thing about this versatility is having this high edge here says I can basically use this as a ruler foot too. So not only am I going to get that pinpoint precision of lining up, I'm going to get that straightness that I just can't do without a ruler for some of the longer edges. I'm too shaky, too much caffeine, right? So I'm going to line this up as I did before, and I'm really just using the ruler to help me stay straight straight when I stitch, I'm really paying attention to my markings when I do the stitching, so I know where to line up, which is different than when you're doing regular ruler work. You're really paying a lot of attention to the placement of the ruler, making sure that ruler is lined up. So this just makes it a lot easier. Remember that trick that I gave you? Feel free to turn that as you are making different turns to help line that up. And I can just much quicker see with this insert if I am off in my stitching before it becomes a problem with the stitch in the ditch. But see how it turns when I have a long straightaway like this and gets me lined up for the next one? I'm going to come straight across, so little quick turn with my finger. Again, you want to make sure you're not stitching when you do that, because you know you could hurt yourself if you left the machine running. Well, I could literally just keep doing this all day and doing the stitch in the ditch to make this really look like a piece that I've quilted and pieced together, but it's time for me to show you the clear insert. Like I said, it has no markings on it whatsoever. It's just going to give me perfect visibility in that large window area to do whatever kind of quilting I want to do. So let me show you my favorite way to use the clear insert. Surprise! I'm at the Little Rebel. That's right, one of my favorite ways to use the 360 clear insert is for adding applique to my blocks. And that shows you our 360 Wonderfoot works with all of Grace's machines, our Unique machines and the Little Rebel. So I'm going to show you how to use it to do this. And I'm just going to use this so I have really clear visibility, plus the large foot. It's really going to help me not get caught on the edges, which can be a real problem when you are doing applique. So as you can see, I've just got really good visibility to be able to stitch very close to the edge and not get anything caught when I'm doing the applique. And even though I'm doing this on the Little Rebel, you can do the same thing on a quilt by adding rough edge applique and using this foot as well. But this block is a little bit different because I want the applique stitched down before the whole quilt comes together. And that's it. It's really that simple. Check out our website for more information on the 360 Wonderfoot and tell me in the comments how you'd use this Wonderfoot. And don't forget, for great quilting content like this, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's time for me to 360 back to quilting.